Well, here we are back at North Kilworth Wharf. It's Good Friday 2023, about 3 in the afternoon. Been here a couple of hours. Not really a task orientated weekend ahead of me this weekend, I don't think. I did come back last week, fortnight ago actually, and did a bit more of the ceiling. Didn't take a lot of footage, but I will try and splice some of that in. Yeah, just a bit of problem solving, just a weekend away. It's been a couple of weeks of hard grind the last few times I've been here, so a couple of things I want to work out today, a couple of little jobs. So yeah, we'll see how we get on for the weekend. Yeah, let's get to it. So it's about 5:30. Got halfway through so far. These packs are in much better condition. I've only had one that I'm not happy with out of 4 packs. So that's a massive improvement compared to what it was last time. Yeah, they're coming up nice. I want to get them all done, or at least one coat tonight, preferably 2 tonight, so I can get straight into it in the morning. But yeah, halfway through now, so I'm just going to get a Coke and just have a 20-minute break, 15-minute break, get a little bit of food, and then get on with it. Yeah, cool, getting there. Those prepped and finished, sanded and revarnished, cut, sanded and revarnished, ready for the next section of ceiling. Much better packs this time. Yeah, very little in the way of cut marks, really good condition, almost nothing broken or warped. So yeah, really good. Everywhere is covered in dust, so I'll have to get a quick vacuum up, and then I've got some chess with Nigel, so that should be fun. So a little bit behind the scenes, playing chess with Nigel. Saturday afternoon, all the wood is primed, ready to go. I've done all the background electrics, I've run all the cable through, I'm just ready to tap in and put in conduit. So I'm doing the narrowboat shuffle again, moving everything back down the other end, just so I can work under here, and I'll rip these lights out and get on with sticking a ceiling up. Yeah. About 11 o'clock Sunday. It's not too bad weather-wise. I didn't get much finished last night. Got a little bit late. I was playing chess with Nigel. So today I've just been finishing off doing the wiring, cutting chases into the wall for the conduit. And I've also decided to put the 5th light in, even though the ceiling's not in, just so that when it comes time to do the ceiling, I can just replace that out straight out, because that's going to be part of this room as well. There's no light on this side, that's where the fire's going. Yeah, so getting on with it, a little bit left to do, a few hours left in the day, clocks have moved forward. So yeah, summertime begins. So I just want to get this finished off, and yeah, and see what it looks like. about 2 o'clock Sunday. Yeah, the electrics are finished. That's the living room done. I've just stuck that one up as where it's going to go in the next set of wood to put up on the ceiling, just so I can just slot it in when it's time. But yeah, that's living room lights. Yeah, fantastic, starting to look good. Everything tidied up and everything loaded into the car. I'm about ready to go home for the week. Back next weekend for Easter. I think to do the next couple of sections of ceiling. That gets to an interesting number of how we're going to do it, because there's this section here which I'd like to sort out, and also I've got solar inputs to think about. Which I'm thinking of just bringing straight down here into the electrics cabinet and running the cables on top of the boat. But for now, we've made some progress. That's an extra room done. Like I said, opposite that, the fire will go opposite this single light. But yeah, it's coming together. I'm almost got a fully ceilinged and lit boat. So we're over halfway now. So that's awesome. Yeah, really happy with that. Well, thanks very much for watching, everybody. If you got this far through, thanks very much. Not a lot happening this weekend. I might jam it all together with the next week's video. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll start doing some bits and pieces and some other things and tests for some other things I've got in mind. So yeah, welcome back to my midlife madness. I've been working on how I'm going to cut the holes out for the windows. My original plan didn't work. My original plan had a collar running around the inside of the window here, and that worked a treat. And I put a board up, practice board, drilled a hole through it and routed around it, but then it wasn't big enough to get the window out. So that broke my heart. That was, I don't know, 2 months of thinking about it ruined. So I've decided now I'm going to put a collar around this outside and try again. So I've just got some flexible hardboard MDF, 3mm. The idea is that should make a nice round thing, a nice collar for the inside of the window to route out, and I will cover it all in varnish if it works. So I'm just going to have a play with this. There's a couple of other things I've been playing with. This was my first attempt with 3mm plywood, but it always breaks. So now, even tried putting reinforcement tape on the back, but it always breaks. So I've just been out, got some more hardboard, and we'll try it with that. 2 hours later and this much broken wood, I think I've got a solution. So this might look a bit of a mess, but what I'm after is this inside collar. Right, now I've done a little shiplap just down here, which still isn't perfect. So I've put this outer card in just to push it up. So my idea is to put a panel on the wall and route through to this inside collar. So I might do it with a bit of scrap to start with, and we'll see how it goes. Right, bear with me. So I've used some of the broken cladding as a test to cover up the window. I've taken all the furniture off the window, and that is now, with the collar inside it, it's now ready to receive the router bit. The router bit is a collared flush trim router bit. So the idea is you drill a hole through the middle of the wood, then poke the router in and carry to the edge till you find the collar, then follow the collar all the way around. So I've just used this as a test, so let's set it up and have a look, see how it works. Okay, so let's see if this works, yeah? Woo, okay. Oh, that's a lot of dust. Oh. Okay, so it's a bit rough around the edges. There's some bits where I've bumped it out. Need to smooth that out, see if I can smooth that out with a bass. That's probably where it's got some give, yeah, so I need to pack it better. But apart from that, I can work with this. Let me just make a longer collar to come out further and tack it in with some nails around the inside of the edge. But yeah, I can work with that. I can absolutely work with that. Okay, yeah, so it's a little bit, it's like a mil deeper all the way around. It's not bad, like I said, it'll get covered with some trim at some point. But that's not bad, I can work with that. Okay, yeah, after a little clean up and the furniture back on and the window back in, that in theory could just be ready for some trim. So, and the all important test is that, can you take the window out? Yes, you can. I'm well happy with that. I mean, you know, there's some bits where, you know, you need to pack it out better so it doesn't splay, or whatever the word is, you know, using better materials, go a bit slower, stop it all chipping out. But this is why we do these tests. But yeah, awesome, awesome. Love this problem solving on the go. Then my other project for the day was these two little rings that have been soaked in varnish, about 5 coats of varnish all day. That's for the breather skin fitting for the water tank. So this is a flush mount breather for the water tank. It's a standard breather with mesh filters, but the idea is it sits flush to the body of the boat so you don't knock it off stuff. But the problem is there's this gap and the hull of the boat isn't that wide, so I've made these spacers so that'll go against the hull of the boat. These will go up against the inside hull of the boat as spacers, just so that we can have a nice cool looking flush fit breather valve for the water tank. So I will glue these together, but like I said, they've been covered in varnish just because they're going to be set up against the wood. I mean, I'll silicone them in, this from the outside with Sikaflex, and this probably silicone on the inside. But yeah, so it means moving a whole bunch of furniture and drilling with the boat to put that in. But that was the other thing that was on my mind for coming down here today, so that's that sorted. And now that we've got the windows kind of figured out how we're going to cut those out of the boards, that's great. I've bought a track guide for the circular saw so we can do straight edges, so we can start cutting the upper and lower walls. Yeah, so it all seems to be, you know, coming together in my head. So I've got a plan. All of this side is as the layout as I'd like it. It's where the lights are figured out. So yeah, we can start doing the walls, I think, this side. Right, I've got 20 minutes before Nigel comes over to play some chess. I've got to tidy all this up. So yeah, let's get on a tidy up. It's been a good day though, problem solving, been a good day. Just waiting on Nigel now for some chess. Saturday's entertainment, or Friday's entertainment and Saturday's entertainment. Some of you might be thinking why I've not continued on with the ceiling already. Well, I've got to have the fire flue exiting at some point and put a chimney in, and also solar inputs. Now I've not even really looked at solar yet, so but at some point I'm going to drill the roof and bring the cables in for the solar panels. So I didn't want to come straight to the ceiling, so I was kind of waiting a little bit for that. And also I haven't really nailed down the layout of this part of the boat yet. Not, you know, not as, it's not as set in stone as my bedroom, galley, living room space is. So I'm not quite sure on the orientation of where the lights want to be. And also, you know, that I'm starting to think it's going to be easier to do the ceiling and then fit the fire through the wood than it is to try and fit the ceiling around the fire. So, I don't know, let me know what you think. Because that's really the only reason that I've stopped. That is the only reason I've stopped doing the ceiling, really. I mean, I've got these little makeshift lights if I need them, if I'm doing anything down this side. But, I mean, I really like where we're at. These rooms, you know, apart from that extension bit, that's, you know, into the next bit of ceiling. But these rooms are set in stone where, you know, kitchen countertops are, where the bed's going, where the furniture in the bedroom's going. That's hence the weird orientation of the two lights together and not continuing on the same pattern all the way down the boat. It's because the bed's going to be kind of boxed in between the two windows, so then the lights will be symmetrical over the bed. But yeah, we can start on the wall. This wall is going to be easier because there's no electrics on this wall, there's no switches on the upper wall, so that is just put it up and cut the holes out. Whereas this side we've got to really figure out where I want the switches. I mean, I can move them, I've got extension pieces, you know, blade terminals to extend them, so the switches can go wherever they want, wherever I want really at this point. So, but I've got to work out, you know, final places for all of that. But yeah, just, you know, figuring out how I'm going to do the windows is a big weight off my chest. Figuring out how I'm going to do the breather is a nice, you know, it's another thing ticked off that you don't ever have to think about. This floats around your head, you know, while you're trying to get to sleep and stuff. So yeah, we're moving on, slowly but surely, moving on. I want to do that back wall as well at some point. But then I've got, you know, to drill holes into the engine bay for the electrics to come through from the engine. And on the other side, the water, if I'm going to have a calorifier. Or if just a straight water heater off the engine, I don't know yet. So, but you know, what can I tell you, we're 2 years in, 3 years in now. Feels nice to be back here for spring, 3rd year running. But yeah, well, I'm thinking of doing the tape mop up of the boat down this end. I've shimmied some of the floor around and square some of these little bits up. But yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it, no rush. So it's a lovely Saturday afternoon. So when I built the lower battening, I was thinking of cladding the entire thing. So I'd really had just in mind of pinning it at the top and the bottom. That's why it's a frame like this. I figured, you know, a string of nails at the top and at the bottom and the top, run the whole thing. Now, I'm thinking about boarding it. I'm going to board it out. But the problem with that is there's no battens where the edges of the boards are. So, for example, if, just a bit of scrap. If one board ends there, another one comes up to it like that, there's nowhere to secure the edge. So what I've been doing is I've cut some extra battens, and I'm not going to take the whole frame off just to put some strengthening battens in the middle. So I've bought a pocket jig like that to cut some pocket holes. I've already done a few. And they'll just slot in wherever the edges of the board are, and I'll pocket screw them into the battening, and I'll just clean off like just, you know, the little bits of spray foam like wherever the batten goes. So for an example, if one were to be there, I'll just clean off the spray foam and screw it in with the pockets, with the pocket screws, and have somewhere for the board just to bunt up and screw to make a nice firm edge along the board. So if there's, you know, there shouldn't be any warping or anything like that. Whereas without that, you know, you start to get, I don't know, cracks and drifts between the wood. So at least that way you kind of lock it down. So yeah, so I've just been doing that. It's been quite good fun. Never done any pocket joinery before. That'll come in handy for any cabinetry later on as well. So it's only a cheap little jig. I'm sure it's got some play in it. But you get a cool, cool screw head where you get this tiny little hole at the end and a wider bit for the screw to sit into. So you end up with these angled holes with a little hole through the edge, and you put the screws in diagonally. It comes with a few specialist screws. So I've got these, where is it? There. They've got these little flat heads. If we get that into focus ever. So my eyes, there we go. They've got these little inverted flat heads to sit flush. Up against the wood. Now you don't want to over tighten them because this isn't a very strong bit of wood, but it's just to hold them into place, to hold the boards. So yeah, so I've just been doing that. So it's a little bit later on Saturday. I've pulled a couple of boards out. I'm going to have a go at cutting them and sticking up a couple of lower walls and see about cutting out some plug socket bits. So yeah, I've never done this before. Well, I've cut the floor, but we'll see how this goes. Going to use the new track saw. The track for the saw doesn't quite fit, but we'll see how we get on. Yeah, should be fun. Wish me luck. Terrifying as I thought it was going to be. The saw doesn't quite fit the track, so you just got to ride the edge, but it's much better than trying to follow a pen line. So yeah, nice and smooth track, successful, relatively straight cut I think all the way down. So yeah, banging. We'll see what these are like up against the wall. I'm just going to clean all this up and then we'll try fitting them into place and just see what it looks like. Great, that anti-tear out strip on the track has worked a treat. These look fantastic. Cool. So that's the 3 panels just put in position, rough position. I've got them about 1 inch off the floor, so you can lift the floor up if you need to. It's not going to be easy getting that floor up, but you could get it up if you need to without taking the walls up. I might raise that gap a little bit more. Now, where these boards meet are what I'm talking about, the battens I did earlier with the pocket holes. So I'll put one in behind that seam, so it's got something to grip onto. But apart from that, it's okay. I'm not too. It's not too bad. The gap's big enough that you can reach in and grab the electric cable, but it's deep enough that you can just tuck it behind. It's falling out and making the board stick out at the minute, but yeah, not too bad. I might raise it up a little bit, and then I've got to work out where I want the plug sockets, finalise that, and cut holes for them. And then we can stick these to the wall. Crazy. Feels like we're making loads of progress without, really intending to. Yeah, fantastic. Push back chest for a little bit to keep on continuing this. I just got going, cut out the socket holes and stuck the boards to the wall. So yeah, that's awesome, making loads of progress. Yeah, I'm just working on this one now, and then that'll be as far down the boat as the ceiling is. Awesome. It's getting into 1 o'clock Easter Sunday. I've prepped another board. I've done all the marking out and countersinks, and I've put the sockets in, the socket housing in, I'm not sure what they're called, on this board, and it's just ready just to put up against the wall and screw in, and that'll be another section of wall up. So yeah, wasn't expecting to get anything done really this weekend. I just wanted to come and solve a couple of little problems that was have my head around. When this goes up, I might put a board up on this to see if it'll to see how well that'll take. This is probably one of the easiest sections. There's only one window and no switches. So yeah, I might get on that in a little bit, see how we get on. But for now, I'm just going to stick this wall up and pull the 230, 240 volt cable through. Yeah, so I've moved the little connections down, and I've been pulling the cable through, and there's still a good chunk of it down there to sort out. But yeah, finalising position for plug sockets. Yeah, not a bad little Sunday. It's nice and quiet here. Yeah, it's really good. Well, that's another section of the lower wall put up. There's some plug sockets positioning in place. There is loads more cable to pull through as we do the switch, as we put the switch in. I've just pulled it short to keep it tidy. Yeah, wow, unbelievable. That's good. I'm gonna have a crack at putting an upper wall up right now, I think. Cut onto shape, see if I can pack out the window a little bit better. So, actually, when I did the routing, I've packed out the MDF with some plywood behind it. And there's some bits like here where I'm going to pack it a bit more to stop this just pushing out when I'm rolling the collar around. But yeah, I was really happy with the way that worked. And then after I've cut the window out, I'll pull all this out and put in a custom MDF collar that will get completely soaked in varnish, stop it soaking up any liquid. But this has been in for 2 days. There's no moisture in it whatsoever. Yeah, really good. Yeah, loving it. So I've mocked up a board, I've cut it to size, mocked it up against the wall. I'm going to have a go with a router, cutting out the window, take it down, unpack the window, put the board back up, and see if I can pack the window and make it flush. I put an extra board on down here, up to where the bathroom is going to be. I've not put a board on the back wall yet because I've still got to, get the exit points for the sink and things. Something else to start thinking about. But I'm quite happy with this. Yeah, really good. So yeah, onto more scary new steps. Wow. After a bit of humping and shunting and swearing, I've finally got the board up. It's only got a few screws in it right now. I'm just going to check this side. So yeah, I'm probably going to come outside, drill through, then come back in with a router and cut it all out. It's a little scary. I've done tests, but it's time to see if it'll actually work. I've run a pen mark down the edge of the board so I can try and reposition it. It's as high as I can squeeze it. It's as snug as I can get it. Hopefully I'll get it back in the same position, and hopefully this whole thing will work. So, I mean, if this fails, then at least I've done this much for the weekend. So yeah, pretty jazzed actually. It looks pretty good. Cool. So I'm just outside the window, just checking the tension on it. It's nice and firm anywhere, there's no give. Checking the collar. It's a little bit spongy. That's kind of what I want. I don't want to put loads of pressure on. Yeah, so time to drill through. Oh. Well, that went horribly. It looks terrible. I stopped there because I'll salvage what I can of this board. But that was terrible. The bearing on the router broke. So yeah, there's a bit of it. All the ball bearings, I assume, went everywhere. So that's a bit annoying. But also it's the first time I've done it. So I don't know, you expect things to go wrong, but that is very, very annoying. So I do have some other bits I might try, but my heart's not in it now, to be honest with you. So, lesson learned. Get some better router bits. It was doing fine until it bit into the collar at the top. I mean, all this is passable. Then it jump started it down here, which destroyed it. So, yeah, it's broken my heart a little bit. But, in principle, it's sound. And, take the board off, replace this collar with one that comes out, sand it all flush, fill it. You'll never know. You never knew that it wasn't a perfect circle. Oh, gutted. Oh well, on something else. So I just had Nigel, the new boater, over, and he basically told me to stop being a princess and just to continue cutting it out, and then we can put a collar around it, we can put some trim around it, and if at the end of the day it's bugging me, I'll just trade it out or chop out this section of the board. But yeah, so the plan is then would be to replace this collar on the inside to come all the way flush. But I might actually just try and cover these little bits up with maybe like a roundover bit or something. I wonder if that'd do anything. Yeah, we'll have a look what bits are in the box. So, about 6 o'clock now, Sunday, fixing to go home. I've put this collar in and it looks really good. I mean, there's bits at the top obviously that are a mess. We can probably put filler in them or put a collar waller around. I was just going to leave this like that was my plan, and then just sand it flush and fill all the edge. But I will have to look at getting a collar or just a little bit of decorative trim on the outside for this. But that's not bad at all. I mean, from a distance, it looks great. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's been a pretty good weekend. I feel like I've got a fair bit done. Feels a bit weird in here now. Feels like like this little section feels like a new boat, which is awesome. But yeah, fun weekend. Wasn't planning on doing any of this, to be honest with you. Just kind of got here and started doing it. So yeah. Wow, look at this. Awesome. Well, sun's down. It's starting to get cold again. Still at the start of April, so it still gets kind of cold overnight. It's like 2-3 degrees Celsius Saturday morning. Friday night was the coldest. But yeah, considering I wasn't planning to get anything done, just do a little bit of problem solving and sit and chill and think about layout and stuff, instead I've just got on and done all this work. So this looks good. Quite happy with. I mean, I'm still not happy with that. With that I'm going to have to put collars around, and I just wanted to have the windows like this really. So eventually I may trade this board out, but we'll see how it gets on. It looks good. It looks good. So yeah, then the idea is then we just sand this edge flush to here, and then I guess we'll put like a collar around it because of that hole at the top. But yeah, so quite happy with the way that's turned out, and then we'll put some furniture pins along the rim after we've sanded it flush just to keep it all in place. But the window comes in and out. I'm quite happy with that. So the wall, I only put it up really just to test how it was, and it was a bit of a nightmare. Trying to shift the wall into place and get the acro props working. But yeah, that was okay. The lower wall was nice and easy. I tell you, with that track, it was made the cutting the boards nice and easy. And with the little electricity boxes in, I know you probably think that's not enough cable, but I've just pulled it short for now. just so they're not in the way. I do have quite an excess over here and further along down at the energy box, so we'll pull it through as we need it. But all that's left now really here is kill the lights and take the drive home. Going to actually have a day off, bank holiday Monday. But yeah, it's been a couple of heavy duty trips actually. I mean, doing this first section of ceiling, then the second, then the third, then into this wall. I mean, that's 5.5 panels up, and a whole bunch of thinking about it and working stuff out and mapping it all. But I'm confident with it now, so we can get on with that. There's jobs to do for the rest of the summer. And looking at this wall, which is even easier because it's no switches or anything on the wall, so the upper wall should be a doddle on this side. So can't wait till I get to the hatches and start playing with the router again. Windows, I will, yeah, it's a learning curve, you know. It's like the ceiling vents that I still haven't got perfect, but yeah, it's not too bad. But it looks great now. Everything looks great. Having the lights is making a massive difference. Means I can work in here day or night. So yeah, it's fantastic. Right, anyway, that's going to do it for me from this week, I think. So thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you're all having a good time out there. Yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.